Hi, I'm Mauro Porcini, PepsiCo's Chief Design Officer. Join me for our new series where we dive into the minds of the greatest innovators of our time, with the goal of finding what drives them in their professional journey and in their personal life, trying to uncover the universal truths that unite anyone attempting to have a meaningful impact in the world. This is In Your Shoes.
I always say, do less, but do it better. I'm quoting our guest for today, who is one of the most versatile, expressive, and influential leaders in the design world. After training as an architect in Politecnico in Milan, he founded his own studio that has achieved international acclaim and produced groundbreaking work for decades. He worked as art director for the iconic Thai brand Bisazza. He's been working and collaborating with high-end brands such as Cappellini, Driade, Cartel, Casamania, just to name a few. Throughout his career, he's also designed for name brands such Adidas, Reebok, BMW, Lavazza, AC Milan, the soccer team. Recently, he became the artistic director of Driade, the scientific director of Domus Academy, and a member of the scientific committee of the Triennale Design Museum of Milan. His visionary work has been recognized and celebrated worldwide for its bold forms and ideas. From products to furniture to interior design, all the way to architecture and art direction, there is nothing that this man can't do. Fabio Novembre, welcome to In Your Shoes.
Fabio, it's such a pleasure to have you with us today. And for the people that don't know, Fabio and I, we are really, really close friends. So the conversation we're going to have today is a conversation that often we have in our private circles when we have the opportunity to meet. How are you, Fabio?
Very good, Mauro. Thank you. Finally, we meet, even if on the screen.
Finally, we made it happen. So you are an Italian designer, and not just Italian. You were born in the south of Italy, in Puglia, and then you moved to Milan. You study design. Actually, you study architecture there, and then you became who you are today over the course of many years, one of the most renowned designers worldwide. Can you tell us a little bit of this journey from the Italian provincia, from a town in the south of Italy, all the way to the top of the design world?
Mauro, let's put it this way. First of all, I was a kid that never dreamed about being an astronaut or, I don't know, president of the United States, whatever. I was a kid that was just living his life, I was playing football with my friends. I was chasing girls. It was really like ordinary life. So that, let's put it this way, I'm not that kind of child that, knows where he will go, where he wants to go from the very beginning. Plus, I was coming from a small town, It's 100,000 people, Lecce, in the south of Italy. But it's quite interesting to grow up there because basically you know everybody. It's really a system that looks like a bigger family. Everybody knows who you are relative to. Your father is Mario. Your mother is Erminia. That's, that kind of close. But then, of course, growing up, you need to go to college, and so you need to move out. And so I moved to Milano, and Milano is the big city. Even if for American standards, 1.3 million is nothing. But in Italy, it's a big city because Italy is all made of small cities. And so I felt this need of enlarging the game, of going on a bigger game, And so my interest grew up together with my age, and I started being interested to a lot of things, and I discovered a lot of things. I think that the cultural offer that you can get in bigger cities is amazing. And that's why I consider Milano my home now. Because really gave me so much, was such a mutual exchange of everything, And that's what happens with everybody, probably. You really need to cut your roots in order to try to grow in different situations,
And in Milan, you study architecture. Then a lot of your production, even though there is also the architecture dimension, a lot of your production, the one that made you famous, is between product design and interior design. Today, you do a little bit of everything. Your production is very, very broad, but you started mostly as an interior designer and a product designer.
But if you think about it, Mario, it's very much Mauro. It's very much the Italian tradition, because basically in a country like ours, that is very limited, is very small, and is very densely populated, we cannot grow up, we cannot build that much anymore. So that the small scale, basically the whole phenomenon of Italian design, according to me, was born basically from that. I mean, we couldn't build that much. So that we had to change scale in order to reimagine a future, to reimagine, a new idea of society. So starting from the small scale, actually, really Italian design was like thinking about the seeds instead of thinking about the trees. That was the big change of perspectives, if you want to think about it. And even interiors, I mean, think about interiors, Mauro. Many times I think that our approach to space comes from our ancestors, and they used to live in caves. So that all we feel as space is something that we live from inside. So even my idea of architecture is like from inside outside. It's like you should first think to how you want to live inside a space and then eventually model the outside, which is exactly the contrary of what happens today, because basically big architects sculpt volumes in the air and say, that's the new skyscraper I would like to build. That's totally the opposite of our Italian tradition. We really think about, our first idea of space comes from our mother's belly. We grow up in this warm liquid, amniotic liquid. So that really our idea is always like being surrounded by a space that is warm and comfy and rounded. We should think about the space really from inside to outside, from our real needs, not simply sculpting volumes. That's very much art in some ways, the approach to architecture nowadays is very much artistic. It's like you give a shape to a building and you put it there. It's like an art piece on the outside, but really then you call eventually some other architect to say, okay, now you can think about the inside. You can think about the interiors and try to give a sense to this beautiful sculptural volume. I think it's kind of crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, you're talking about the typical perspective of the designer, the one that put the human being at the center of everything. And so you design for the needs, the wants, the dreams, and the desires of these human beings, no matter if it is a space, is a little object, or is an entire planet, right? Is literally the perspective of the designers, more than many other professions out there.
Mauro, it definitely is. And as far as it concerns me, I always saw things, objects, but even furniture, like shells for our body. I think the design is much more related. It's like a different scale of a dress. I wear a sofa. I wear an object in the kitchen. I wear a room. Actually, that's the right way of putting it. I wear the space. I need to
It's interesting. Actually, it's interesting because then if I think about your style, is a style also of profound self-expression. It's very expressive for you as a designer, but also anybody buying your stuff, your products, these are people that are trying to send a message. Their own message is like poetry, their own message through your product. So this idea of self-expression that is so close then to the world of fashion. You wear a jacket, you wear a pair of shoes to express yourself and to have a point of view from a style standpoint in the world. When you buy your furniture, when you buy Nemo, for instance, that's a statement. You're making a statement. So this idea of wearing especially that kind of furniture, I think is very powerful. It's so true.
It's absolutely true, Mauro, also because basically it's like, okay, you made already this comparison and I want to make it bigger. Okay, you said that design is like poetry, okay? Imagine that design is like inventing new words. So that basically people can choose these words and make their own sentences, make their own statements. You allow them with new words because eventually the old words didn't fit them, were not enough to express a strange concept they had in their mind. You know what I mean? So that you give them the opportunity of make their own statements through eventual new words that you come out with.
Oh, I love the analogy of the language. And by the way, you were talking a lot earlier about Italian design. Do you think there is an Italian design language today? And therefore, then there is also an American design language or a Danish design language. There are today so many different styles, so many different designers. You were the one actually that organized a beautiful debate with a fellow designer, Antonio Citterio, that has a language very, very different than yours, but it's still Italian. So is there a language that is Italian and a language that is American, Indian, Danish, French of design, or not anymore?
Okay, very important question and topic. So first of all, Mauro, you are aware, as myself, that we live in a country, we come from a country that is so full of beauty that everybody wanted it in the past. I mean, basically everybody conquered Italy in order to have a slice of that beauty. So that we were born surrounded by layers of beauty coming from different centuries, from different past. So put these as the base of Italian design. So the iconicism that is always related to Italian design comes from the fact that we are surrounded by incredibly beautiful architectures and paintings and sculptures and landscape, because we are a bridge on the Mediterranean Sea. I mean, it's like, really, it's a very peculiar geographic place in the world, Italy. So starting from this, I would say that we can add that Italian design nowadays is like an approach to things. It's like French fries. I always make this comparison. French fries, not necessarily you think about France when you eat them. But people just call them French fries because probably, they were invented, I don't know, whatever. Let's not think about French fries now. But they belong to the world. I hope that Italian design becomes like French fries. It belongs to everybody, but it's a peculiar approach. For example, Philippe Starck, let's put it this way. For you, is a French designer or is an Italian designer? For me, he's an Italian designer. So we should give the passport of Italian design to anyone that chooses a very, let's say, iconic, emphatic, enthusiastic approach to creativity.
Okay. So Antonio Citterio is not Italian.
Antonio is not Italian designer. It's really this.
What would be the style of somebody like Antonio? What country, what region of the world?
Antonio is more German designer. It's like really form follows function in some ways, that kind of approach. Italians don't have that kind of approach. Actually, not Italians. Italian design. Let's put it this way, really, because Karim Rashid is an Italian designer. He was born in Egypt. He grew up in Canada. He's a very good our friends of us. And he lives in New York. I mean, he's an Italian designer. So Mark Newson is an Italian designer. Yves Béard is an Italian designer. You know what I mean? It's like this kind of approach to things, very free approach. It's really a freedom that Italian spread out, and it goes back probably to the famous show in the Museum of Modern Art in 1972, right? It was called Italy, the New Domestic Landscape. Basically, Emilio Ambas, which was the producer, the organizer of the show, the curator of the show, saw Italy as a new lab in the world in order to come out with a new approach to things, really. And I don't know if today is still like that, but that approach to things is spread out all over the world now. So that this spirit that we call Italian design, that is similar to French fries, is a spirit that now belongs to everybody. Everybody can call himself an Italian designer. I definitely think so. But there is also another peculiarity, I would say, about Italians. The only thing you can never say about Italians is that they are professional. I mean, this is a word that the whole world loves, being professional. You must be professional. Try to be professional. But what's the opposite of professional? The opposite of professional is amateur. Amateur is a beautiful word. Amateur comes from French, and it means lover. When English people say, you're an amateur, they're making a compliment to people because you are a lover. Do you wanna compare a professional to a lover? I prefer to be a lover. You know what I mean, this amateur approach, which is basically not being so into the detail. You know what I mean? It's like in American design, I mean, the very industrial American design is very much into details. You are the super expert about something, you know? Italian design has never been like that. Italian design always try to have a bigger picture. Always try to have like an ideal direction, which is the utopia. Utopia is an ideal direction. So an utopia to achieve. And that's what we call the design. And your approach to Pepsi is very much Italian design, you know? I mean, that's what you're doing in such a big company. And that's the fantastic thing that a big company like PepsiCo gave you, you know? This approach. You don't do
I think one of the challenges, or at least what I'm trying to do, and I want to hear your opinion on this, is to combine that very amatorial approach, as you called it, this very passionate Italian approach to design, with the frameworks, the strategies, the processes of these bigger corporations, so that you can essentially scale up that approach. You can reach as many people as possible. Do you think it's important today to do something like this? And I'm asking you this because of a reason. Italian design became big after World War II. Driven by the Italian boom economico, but also driven by technology, local manufacturing in Italy. Think about the invention of plastic or some form of plastic through Natta, and then many companies that were working on producing through plastic. So technology, visionary entrepreneurs, so the business side, and then the creativity of the grandi maestri, the Italian designer, created, you know, the economic boom of Italy from World War II until the end of the century. Today, the country is in a form of crisis, and has been now for a few years. And it's not just Italy, but many other European countries similar to Italy, with a world that is becoming more and more global. We live in a world where you need to play as a global player often to be relevant and to have a future, because if you don't, there will be the global player that will come in and compete with you. So how can we combine that amateur kind of approach, but this approach, you know, full of passion, intuition, and vision, with the processes and strategies of these global players? Even if you are not a big corporation, even if you're small, you know, it drives me crazy how much people in Italy today are talking about the made in Italy, the importance of the made in Italy, in a world where eventually, maybe to reignite the economy in the country, maybe you need to produce in China and sell in Africa or sell in India, but still with the Italian design approach, as IKEA did, producing all around the world, but still being a Swedish company, or Zara, for instance, or the company owning Zara, being a Spanish company, producing all around the world. What do you think is the future of this Italian design approach in this new global world?
Mauro, I totally agree with you. And we spoke often about it. And that's why I was not defending Italian design nowadays. I was saying that it's like a spirit. Italian design is an approach, is a spirit. And I think that the best minds in the world are basically amateurs, because they do what they do, having a global approach, but still with that researcher spirit, you know, that was like belonging to the first Steve Jobs or I mean, the researchers have that kind of approach. I mean, actually, Steve Jobs, just to name one, was passionate about Italian design. So that I'm not defending Italy. I don't feel like Italy is defendable. Or I don't want to defend anyone. I mean, it's like, this is not the point to defend anyone. That's why I was defending an approach. I was defending a way of being that doesn't belong necessarily to someone born in this country. I was saying that this country is full of beauty, but of course, we can see it's full of problems as well. And facing a global world is a very hard topic, you know. And I think you're doing a great job at this point of view. I mean, that's what you're doing, taking the Italian design spirit and bringing it all over the world. And that's something beautiful. And that's what I try to do as well. But definitely, I'm not defending Italy. Made in Italy doesn't make sense in some ways, unless you have some craftsmanship that needs to be saved or kept an eye on. I mean, and in some little niches, it happens. But for sure, you cannot produce anything in Italy because it's not worth it. There are some things that must be delocalized. I mean, we are completely aware that this is a global world. I mean, nowadays, Mauro, thinking about Italy or United States or China, I mean, the more we grow up, the more we think that the borders that divide these countries, they don't make any sense anymore. I mean, for us, it's all global. All our friends, we don't feel like they belong to other places or races. We went over it completely. But actually, we live in the land of design, which is not Italy, it's not the United States. The land of design is the whole world. I mean, basically, let's not forget what design means, okay? Otherwise, we get a little bit confused. Design is not the cool, cultured people approach to things. No, that's a human attitude. The human attitude that makes us different from all the rest of the other animals on the planet. And this attitude brings us to modify the conditions that surround us. That is design, basically, We modify the conditions in order to make it more comfortable for us, in order to make it more, even more beautiful. Let's use this word. This word is very important. We come from a very classic culture, and our ancestors, the Latins, used to put always ethics and aesthetics together. So when we say beautiful, we always mean honest, because beauty must go together with the ethics, so that if it's not honest, cannot be beautiful, and vice versa. And that's the land of design that we try to achieve. That's the goal that we would like to reach with all our work. I mean, you from New York, me from Milano, our friends from all over the world, but really, we belong to another generation. I don't consider myself Italian, Mauro. I have a world passport. I mean, it's like, I was born in Italy, but really, I was surrounded by beauty, true. But then, look at, we were naming a friend of ours, Mark Newson. He comes from Australia, in the middle of nowhere. You know what I mean? No reference at all. But the only thing that makes us different, Mauro, from the other animals as well, is our huge curiosity. And we were able, with the centuries, to transform curiosity into concentration, and then to the third phase that we call culture. Because basically, you need to be curious, then you need to concentrate on things, because being only curious is not enough. You have to go deeper into things. You have to really try to understand how things work. And that's what basically we call culture. People doesn't need to be afraid of books or of knowing things. In fact, it's a natural process of sedimentation of things that you're curious about and that you go deep into in order to know them better. So
I completely agree. This curiosity for me is the key word. I actually have two stories. I mean, I have tons of stories about you in relation to the word of curiosity, but there are two moments. We never talk about this, but I will always remember. I often talk about these two others, but I never told you. One was one day that I took you to the Hamptons. We took the Jeep and we went on the beach. And you were outside, with your head outside of the car, on top of the open rooftop. And you were looking at the beach like a kid, like a child, like with that enthusiasm, with that curiosity, with that passion. And I was looking at you and I was like, wow, this is really unique. Is a common trait of the real innovators that I see in other innovators, but is not that common in the people that surround us. And why it's not that common? Because you saw everything in the world. You've been traveling all around the world. You've been meeting the most inspiring people. You've been doing super exciting projects, and still you are excited on a beach driving with a car. And so it was a mix of your inner curiosity. It was a mix of your confidence. It because many people feel embarrassed almost sometimes to get excited in front of something. They need to show that they already know everything, they already saw everything, that they don't need to learn anything anymore. And it was really, really beautiful. And then I'm sure that you came back from the beach trip as well as from many, many other journeys and trips and experiences you had in your life, thinking about this, interiorizing this, and learning and inspiring yourself out of it. There is another moment that I remember. We went once to a Ferrari dealer in New York City. And so every time you enter a Ferrari dealer, you are in front of these beautiful, beautiful cars. And everybody's like, oh, you remember that? Everybody's like, oh my God, they're beautiful. And so we were there, and I think there was the CEO of Ferrari America or somebody hosting us. And he was very proudly showing us their Ferrari cars. And you, instead of celebrating the Ferrari like 99.9% of the people will do, you are like, I think you should change the design of this detail or this. So there was but again, curiosity, open eye, different perspective, looking at things, with a unique point of view. And then with your critical mind, trying to understand how you can make it better. How can you improve on something that everybody think, okay, it's pretty perfect already as it is. So I think these two examples are really, first of all, I think the example of the innovator mindsets. And then, therefore, also the example of your way of thinking and what you were sharing with us just earlier, that curiosity, that
Mauro,
passion.
I often say that the more technological and digital and whatever becomes our inputs, the more my output is kind of primordial. I'm becoming a big gorilla. You know what I mean? It's like I'm becoming simple in my outputs because I want to simplify. For example, you know why I use guitar? I mean, I'm basically living with the guitar on my side because I love music. But music is like overwhelming now. I mean, there is so much music around. I filter everything I like through my guitar. So if I like a song, I have to sing it. You know what I mean? It's like, I have to make it my own.
And I noticed that in the past few years, this is happening even more. I saw you with your guitar so many different times in the past few years. Did something change in the past few years? I didn't see the guitar that often in the past. There was something that happened in your life?
Totally true. I used to play guitar when I was a kid. I mean, until 16, I was in a rock band, whatever, like all teenagers. But then I didn't use it for 35 years. But 2 years ago, very accidentally, I took it and I started. And now it's like feeling the need of filtering everything through your sensitivity. I mean, really, I'm becoming an evoluted gorilla. Really, it's like, no, really, the more everything becomes digital around me, I mean, the more everything becomes technological and high-tech, the more I give a low-tech approach to the things I'm doing. You know what I mean? It's kind of strange. It's like I want to be more direct, Mauro. I don't know. I'm really, actually, Mauro, the more I know, I don't know if it's the same for you. The more I know, the more I have seen, the less I think I know. You know what I mean? It's like, I swear, I feel like I'm still a student at first grade.
I'm taught, well, I think it was Socrates, yes, that used to say that.
I know of not knowing.
I don't know, right? Yes, exactly. So I think at a certain point, you realize that there is so much to learn, and that you just, if you are a curious person, if you are an innovator,
that you are still
become even more hungry and thirsty, and you just want to learn and experience, and you feel like, oh my God, I have just one life and it's not enough. And I really feel it. And you're right. Over the years, I became more aware of what I didn't know, and therefore even more hungry for knowing more.
And more humble, because really I feel a first grade student. Really, I mean, when people say, you are an experienced man, I'm not at all. Seriously, I'm not talking just to impress or whatever. Seriously, Mauro.
Now, look, Fabio,
People do
again,
that.
personal experience. As you know, my journey as a designer has been pretty weird for the Italian tradition, right? I remember also in an interview you were talking about me, as going in a jungle and opening my own, path in the jungle years ago. So very weird. And for many years, I would come back, in the US, I was doing, I was having my journey, was becoming successful and things were working very well. But Italy wouldn't understand yet what I was doing in the US, in other regions of the world. I met you in the moment, in the middle of the journey, and you were one of the people, super successful Italian designer that instead of having that arrogant, if you want, attitude to go towards something that is different than what you were doing, you had this curious attitude. I mean, exactly what you just described right now. And you wanted to understand and you wanted to learn what was happening. I was doing things differently. You're one of the first people in Italy that understood what I was trying to do with that Italian design approach, but in a completely different kind of context. So what you just described of yourself, that curiosity, but also that humility, if you want, I think is something that I find in you.
But
always.
Mauro, you just named one very important word, which is diversity.
Yeah.
Diversity is a very peculiar feeling because diversity can make you feel curious or afraid.
Yeah.
And I belong to the people that become super curious. When something is different, is diverse, I say, wow, that's super interesting, because I don't want the same. You know what I mean? It's like diversity for me is a potential enriching situation. You know what I mean? And if for you diversity becomes just fear of diverse, of difference, that's terrible. I mean, it's like, that's probably, still we go back to the curiosity. Still we go back to the same thing. But Mauro, we cannot be wrong, I must tell you. And it's not a matter of being right or wrong, of course, but I would suggest to all the people that is scared of diversity or they think that curious is not a good approach to life, I would say that children are all curious. Sometimes we forget that we were curious. When we say, usually creative people say that we should keep being children all our life, and that's basically what we work at. We try to be children all our life. But that's what everybody should try to. You know what I mean? Really, we forget how strong are the feelings when you are a child. And we should keep it that way. I mean, really, now people is basically kind of shy to talk about love, to talk about happiness. You know what I mean? It's like, it looks even a bit cheap, a little cheesy. There's a beautiful word in English, cheesy. It looks cheesy.
Yeah.
But love is such a fantastic word. For me, love has always been the key to everything. When you want to convince people about doing something, it's basically impossible. You should really make them fall in love with an idea in order to follow it. And I would say that love is something that we can say all the worst things about our country. And we were born in it and we know what are the bad things about our country. But love is all around this country. I mean, I don't know why, but probably because it's really, we have beautiful lifestyle. Let's put it this way. This is something that we cannot deny. In Italy, people has a beautiful lifestyle whatsoever, because food is incredible, beauty is all around, and we give importance to the good things. I mean, family for us is so important. So that love is something that has always been in our DNA. So sometimes I say that Italian design should be like teaching people to put love as the first of their priorities. Because that's the point, Because if you put love as the first of your priorities, then all the rest disappears. All the fears, all the hate, all the bad feelings. You know what I mean? It's like if you open your heart, and basically, Mauro, I always say that there are two strong forces in nature, two strong forces that are able to put humans together. One is trust, and the other is fear. If you spread fear, people will be afraid and they will isolate and they will hate each other. Trust is about putting all the community together, trying to have bigger goals, trying to think all together about a better world, And, fear is exactly the key for love. No, scusami, trust is exactly the key for love. Because if you want to fall in love with someone, you have to trust someone. So that everything is related, Mauro. Everything is so simple. That's the gorilla is talking now. I mean, seriously, everything is so simple.
You talked a lot about this Italian culture and how that approach to life and to design and to innovation can inspire other cultures. I'm talking to you from New York City, from America. What do you think is something of the American culture that can instead inspire other cultures around the world? And is there any other culture, you've been in so many different places, people from all around the world. Is there any other culture that somehow should inspire us in some aspect of life as well?
I have a very clear answer to this question. I love United States because of their diversity. And I love places in the world where diversity is the key. Like Brazil is full of diversity. England, actually London, it was an empire. So that wherever, Paris as well, wherever there is a lot of diversity and they all can live together. And that's why I consider New York the capital of the world, because it's the capital of diversity. I mean, lots of different people, they talk to each other and touch each other and live with each other. I mean, that's beautiful. The only limit of Italy, for example, is that it's not diverse. It's not colorful enough for my eyes. You know what I mean? And that's beautiful about New York. That's why I really consider New York the capital of the world. And New York are very lucky because of that. There is, Black Americans, Hispanic, Asian Americans. I mean, it's like everything is there and they all live together. I mean, that's really, United States is a blessed country because it's a country that was born from hopes, hope for a better future. I mean, think about the people that went there crossing the ocean. They couldn't even know if they were able to cross the ocean because that time was difficult,
I'm going to jump to a completely different kind of topic. You mentioned earlier, 1972, I think it was the year, New Domestic Landscape, a very iconic exhibition of Italian design at the MoMA of New York City. In that exhibition, it was the triumph and celebration of a new language that Italy has been creating since the 60s and the 50s, even in some way. It was also the celebration of a material, plastic, that then just a few years later started to change positioning with the petrol crisis. And then fast forward to today, we know many of the problems that this material has. We live in a world where nobody can ignore anymore the sustainability problem and the challenge that we all face. Plastic is one of the material that are under scrutiny, but there are other materials as well, because it's not just driven by materials, but the entire life cycle, from the manufacturing, the creation, the production, all the way to this mission. What's the role of sustainability in your thinking today, in your design today? How things are changing, and where do you see the future of sustainability in the world and in the world of design?
Mauro, there is a big misunderstanding about sustainability to me. I mean, think about one symbol of sustainability, the plastic bag, okay? The plastic bag, I mean, oceans are full of plastic bags. Why? Because they are used basically 10 minutes, let's say from the grocery store to our house, where we make it empty and put in the refrigerator. And then it's over. The life of a plastic bag is over. So 10 minutes, but the material would allow the object, the piece of design, to last for 200 years. So there is a big problem in the interpretation of things. I always said that since I was a student, for me it was very clear from the very beginning, we should think about life and death of products. If we don't think about death, that plastic bag that we use it for 10 minutes will last 200 years. And that's the mistake. Because it's a beautifully thought piece of design, because plastic is a fantastic material, but it must be used for things that want to last for a long time, for a long performance, not for a 10 minutes performance. So that things are never wrong by themselves. The interpretation that we give to things can be wrong. I mean, a plastic bag is a very wrong use of a super performing material. So that, seriously, when we talk about sustainability and, recycle can be a solution. Recycle can be a solution, but first of all, we should choose the materials like a casting for a movie. I mean, the actors must be perfectly chosen, otherwise the movie is a shit. You know what I mean? It's like you have to do a perfect casting of things. Don't go break all mountains just to have a marble floor in some rich person villa. You know what I mean? It's like, what for? What for? I mean, there are synthetic materials that can solve the problem perfectly, you know, it can be a perfect solution, even aesthetically and on the performance point of view. So that really we should rethink our approach to materials. And then, of course, we all should do less. I mean, this is something I've been saying since, probably if you analyze my work as a designer, I started my studio in 94, so it's already 26 years. The things I've been doing are not that much. I mean, we all should do less and concentrate more on what we do. Make less and make it better. You know, that's always been my motto in some ways, because we cannot overdo. You know, sometimes we really think that the power of making things, you know, because you are a successful designer, everybody would like to have a piece from you, but don't do it. Just do the things that you really think are worth making. You know what I mean? We all should really make less things. Make less things. That's a very important point to me. I mean, these are already realistic solutions for an approach to sustainability. This word, sustainability, people doesn't even understand what sustainability means. Really, we should think about how make things die when we don't use them anymore. That's much easier to understand, you know, because really our life, expiring date, Mauro, is all about the expiring date. We basically know that our expiring date is 80, 90 years, okay? But for a plastic object, centuries. Are we going to use it for centuries? Don't think so. So how can I use it? What for? You know, that's the topic. I mean, we always think that things will last forever, but we don't last forever. And probably people after us don't want those things.
No, I really love the idea of life and death, because it forces you to think in terms of life cycle and life cycle management. That is a key word in this universe of sustainability. Jumping again, because with you there are so many topics I want to touch. You talked about the importance of inspiration and passion, and you are an inspiration for many designers, and not just designers out there. And I'm sure you have been inspired by many people, and you had mentors or friends that somehow gave you a lot. I remember our conversations, for instance, when Mendini passed, about his role in your life. What is the importance of a mentor? Who have been the mentors in your life that are the most important to you, and what role they have? And when anybody that is listening to us needs to look for a mentor, what do they need to look for? What is the role of a mentor?
Mauro, let's give an image. In our life, we all go through very difficult moments, and we think that everything around us is dark. and completely dark. There is no reference. But then you just
raise your eyes
and watch the sky full of stars. And those stars can make a clear way for you. And those stars are your reference. I mean, for example, I selected the stars of my darkest nights. And those are people that I thought were like relatives to me. I would have chosen them like my uncle, my grandpa, my father, my brother, my cousin. You know what I mean? It's like people that I have been adoring for what they did in their life. So not necessarily a mentor must be someone you met or someone you personally knew. A mentor can be also someone that wrote a beautiful book or painted a beautiful painting or recorded a beautiful song. But that song, that painting, that book helped you to come out from difficult situations. So that those are the stars of your darkest nights. Those are the mentors. Everybody should choose his own mentors. It's like choosing your DNA. It's like choosing it's really a natural selection of what is similar to you. Because really, it's something that you select in order to how you are. You know, really, we are all different, and we all have different reference. And as well, what else you asked me?
You met many interesting people in your life. Is there anybody that?
No, and then as well, you said you become yourself a reference for the other people.
Yeah.
Unavoidably, aging, you become a reference for other people because basically, I don't know, they saw something you made or they read something you wrote or whatever. And so what is your task? Getting older and realizing that someone is eventually looking at you, that you have a responsibility, Mauro. I mean, we always think that liberty and responsibility are two separate things. And it's not true at all. I believe that to the maximum of liberty should correspond the maximum of responsibility. And we should feel responsible for the kids that eventually look at us. And that's why we should harder and harder try to live as more correctly as we can. You know, thinking that, you know, it's not that I cannot do whatever I want. You know what I mean? It's like some kids are looking at me. And that's very important. I mean, seriously, Mauro. Okay, let's put it this way. I became a father. You still don't. I hope you very soon will, because it's a very big change in a person's life, in a human. It's a human experience that is incredible. You pass from being a child, because otherwise we'll be child all our life, to a father or a mother, a parent. And it's incredibly different because you realize that your behavior is exactly what your children see and what the children imitate. I mean, I can say whatever I want to my daughters, but then they will look at my behavior, at how I act, at how I respond to things. So that basically we all should become fathers and mothers eventually. You know, we all should take responsibility of understanding that someone else is coming after us, and they all will look at our action, and that we have to leave them a word that at least is similar to what we took. Eventually should be better. You know what I mean? And really, it's so important. It's so important, Mauro, because in this chain that we call evolution, that's why I told you I select my grandpa, my father, my cousin, my brother, but then I cannot select my children, and my children will connect to the chain that I will give them in this chain of evolution. And so really being a good designer is basically being a good person. You know, that's why I don't necessarily believe in creative people that do beautiful things, and then when you meet them, they are horrible human beings. You know what I mean? Sometimes there is.
Totally agree with you.
Sometimes there is a very there is not a connection between what they do and who they are, and I start hating them in some ways. You know, because I say, but excuse me, you preach one way and you act another, and it shouldn't be like that. because you're all one thing, you know? And really, our behavior is so important. We should work on ourselves. The best piece of design that we do should be our way of giving ourselves to the people, of considering really ourselves as a design object in order to give it as a gift to humanity. You know, I mean, we should donate ourselves to people. So that food for me is a great metaphor. It's a great metaphor. That's why probably, you know, Mauro, that Italian design nowadays is better represented through food, through cuisine. That's why Bottura, number one in the world, or, you know, these kind of things. Probably still one root puts all Italians together, apart from political parties and stuff: food. And food goes back to the tradition of your mother feeding you, because still our mothers cook delicious things for us. You know, it's like cooking and food is the best way in Italy to express love. That's why for me is a central metaphor, this thing of letting other people eat you, because you're giving them good food for mind, food for dreaming, food for their soul.
And then there is the rituality of sharing. That's the beauty of this as well. Like, you feed somebody, and then that somebody is also sharing with others. Usually you have a meal with somebody else. So
Mauro,
also that component.
Think about the situation of the Last Supper. I mean, Jesus Christ, surrounded by the apostles, I mean, he offers them bread and wine as if it was, you know, la mia carne, il mio sangue, my meat and my blood. And it's like, it's very metaphorical for us. And we all share the same place to eat together. I mean, lots of cultures in the world are considering eating like only a necessity, but it's not. It's a ritual, and rituals are very important for humans. Everything is a ritual. Why we get married is a ritual. Why I mean, lots of traditions have different rituals, but rituals are so important. We are losing very much this approach to things as a ritual. And rituality is so important.
I totally agree. Sometimes, unfortunately, is inefficient, and we live in this world of total performance and efficiency and effectiveness, and so you try to cut short some rituals that instead have been defining cultures for thousands of years.
Yeah, but Mauro,
should protect them.
Mauro, we've been to a few Super Bowls together. Super Bowl is a ritual, for example. I mean, we still have rituals that could be used in order to make people understand that it's not only about two teams fighting with each other, but it's a ritual to be all together, to enjoy something unique all together. So rituality can also be applied to things that we already do, but without thinking about the powerful moment of putting people together.
Yeah. By the way, this is a beautiful thing of American sports, the fact that people get together, the two teams fight with each other, but then the fans, the people are not divided. They are there celebrating the event. I mean, you have been there, you saw it. It's so different from soccer. Or now we talk about restaurants, we talk about the Super Bowl and games, sport games, moments where people get together. We live in a moment, though, where people are not getting together because of a virus that is all around the world, unfortunately. Do you think, not do you think, I think you do, how the world is going to change after COVID-19? How people will think, will behave, will connect after this virus?
Mauro, after the first lockdown in Italy, in the Gulf of Naples, there were the dolphins. In the canals of Venice, there were crystal clear water and fishes. So that we should think that not necessarily it was a bad thing what we went through. Actually, it allows us to think that rushing is not necessarily the solution. Actually, you know, from Italy, let's go back a little bit to food. There was a movement in Italy called slow food. And it was completely the opposite of fast food that came from America, no? Slow food was really the idea of knowing where things that you're eating come from, knowing how they were cultivated or eventually fished or hunted or whatever, basically being aware of what becomes yourself through the food. And this idea of slowness is something that goes very much back in the Italian tradition. Think about the proverb in Latin that was festina lente, which means hurry up slowly, which looks like a contradiction in terms, but it's not. And this could be actually used for this time. Festina lente, hurry up slowly. Our lives cannot be too slow down because there is a beat, there is a rhythm of the planet that we have to stick to in some ways. But are we sure that all our movements, that all our actions make sense? Are we sure? You know that, for example, in language, Mauro, there is a theory from a guy called Shannon that basically says that 70% of our words in usual language are unnecessary. Only 30% are enough to tell exactly what we want to tell. I believe that you could apply this theory to our life. Basically, 70% of our movements could be eliminated, and we could keep exactly the same efficiency or the same density of our actions. And that's what we should apply, having taught this lesson of COVID, that we should reduce drastically what is not necessary to our life. The smart working and things, that's fantastic. Fantastic. Not necessarily you need to take a couple of flights in order to go for a meeting with some people. Getting used to video conference like this one is fantastic. You're in your house, I'm in my house. Then, of course, we need to see each other. Mauro, I need to argue as soon as possible, but that's another thing. We cannot meet just because we have a discussion about work. You know what I mean? So that definitely that can be an improvement. Mauro, yesterday, our common friend, Carlo Capasa, was talking to me about fashion. No?
Can you tell the people listening to us who is Carlo Capasa?
No.
Quickly.
He's president of the Chamber of Fashion in Italy. But anyway, he was telling me, Fabio, it's interesting because people in the world is waiting for the COVID to end for revenge shopping. Mauro, I got so scared from this definition. Basically, the marketers started this definition for what will happen after. People are so, how would you say, kept in their house, so hungry for consuming that they call it revenge shopping. Excuse me, that's not the right direction for me. Not at all. Not at all. We should try to teach this lesson, slowing down and enjoying the landscape is also a beautiful metaphor for the trip. Sometimes we go so fast that we don't even enjoy the landscape. Even if you travel on a train, whatever, you are on your laptop, listening to music, reading, whatever. Enjoy the landscape. You know what I mean? Slow it down. This is a crucial point, Mauro, crucial point. Because I started talking about the dolphins in the Gulf of Naples and the silver, crystal clear water in the canals of Venice. My God, we're not used to that. And nature needs it. This is a great chance for us to completely rethink about our system. So really, let's apply the theory of Shannon that we usually apply to language, or that we understood that it's on language. We don't apply it, but let's apply it to our life. Let's apply.
You mentioned language and the use of words in our vocabulary. Many years ago, I was talking with a French friend that had a degree in English literature. I was like, well, yes, Italians and French, we have so many more words and we talk with so many, it's more romantic, our way of articulating an idea or a thought. And she was like, you know that actually the English dictionary has the double of the words of the Italian or the French dictionary. But is the way they talk, the Anglo-Saxon way of talking, is a reflection of their way of thinking. They are more straight to the point. You know, European are more articulated, if you want. They go around the point over and over and over again. At the end, finally, you get there, as I'm doing right now, by the way. And the Americans instead, boom, you know. And so it's interesting how actually you have the tools to, you know, their tools is a toolbox, the language. But then your culture is really what drives you to use the toolbox in a way or the other. So when you talk about the use of the language, immediately I started to think about this. Well, Fabio, we could go on hours and hours and hours talking about so many different topics. We talk about passion, curiosity, we talk about inspiration, we talk about Italy a lot in connection also with other cultures. We talk about music. You show me a guitar a few minutes ago. You have a guitar there by you. We should close with you singing us something, you know, music interpreted by you,
Mauro,
reconnecting everything you have been talking about so far. Can you give us this gift?
Absolutely, I will. But can I say something more? Because otherwise, this is a point that stays unclear. I think we all have a task as designers, but not only as designers, as human beings. There is a beautiful sentence that is, all art has been contemporary. I definitely think that we as human beings should testify our own time. You know, I don't believe in the fact of looking at the past and getting inspired from the past, or looking at the future and trying to think as if it was already the 3000. You know what I mean? It's like we should live our moment. The Latins used to say hic et nunc, here and now. I mean, and try to give a shape to the world as we see it. You know, that's a very important thing for me. Really, I would use this stage to suggest to all our colleagues that it's so important to testify our own time. Who came before us? They were so good at testifying it for their time. We should give the interpretation of our time. That's a task that we have. That's something we owe to who came before and who will come after. That's very important, I believe. Very important. I really wanted to touch this point because for me, I consider myself a designer of the present. I'm not a designer of the past or of the future. I'm a designer of the present. You know, this is our time. Our expiring date is like this. You know, so give a shape to this moment. And the song I think we should sing together eventually, Mauro, is this one, which is Nel blu dipinto di blu, volare, from Domenico Modugno, you know. And basically the lyrics say, fly or sing in the blue painted of blue, happy to be here. You know, so that it's really an Italian spirit that we try to evoke. Volare, oh, cantare, wow, 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 nel blu dipinto di blu, felice di stare lassù.
Bravo! And this is one of those Italian songs renowned all around the world. I think it's a beautiful way, very unique, by the way, as you are, to close this podcast. Thank you so much for
Mauro,
everything you have been sharing with us.
You are my brother, Mauro.
You are too. Thank you
very much.